Weeks 2 and 3 got a little messy. I pushed a little bit further than I think I should have, and I ended up paying for it later in the week. Weeks 2 and 3 were a little messy for me. I actually pushed one of my runs further than I probably should have and ended up paying for it later in the week. This video covers weeks 2 and 3 of my training since finishing cardiac rehab for open heart surgery. Week 2, I ended up doing an upper and lower calisthenics split along with 2 bike rides and 2 runs, and they were all supposed to be pretty relaxed, but I ended up pushing the very first run of the week from 40 minutes to an hour. Honestly, I was getting really frustrated. I tried to keep my heart rate under control, and it ended up making me do a walk jog type of thing. So I pushed the time. And adding that extra 20 minutes really fatigued me for the rest of the week. I could feel it in my other days. Going into week 3, I changed things up a little bit. I switched to 2 full body days instead of that upper and lower split. And I also swapped my bike rides for runs. I want to continue doing multiple bikes per week, but I ended up doing 3 runs just because it was gorgeous out. One other thing I'll be adjusting going forward is my heart rate zones. After looking into things like heart rate drift and lactate threshold, I compared it to my old Garmin data, and it seems like my heart rate naturally settles around the 140s during steady efforts. So I may be able to move my zone 2 efforts a little bit higher. And that's actually really exciting for me because lately I've been running around a 13-minute mile trying to stay extremely conservative, and it's been really frustrating. So this actually gives me some juice that maybe I can run a little faster and I still get the stimulus I want and recover well, all that sort of stuff. Here's what the last couple weeks of training have looked like. Week 2, here we go. I started the week on Monday. I went for an hour run, and it was a frustrating one. So fucking annoyed, and I have absolutely no reason to be. Well, I do, but I don't. I can't fucking stay in zone 2, and I'm just trying to reel myself in a little bit because 3 months ago, I couldn't even walk on my own. For me to even have the ability to jog, to run, to be outside, and to live today is more than a blessing on its own. Fuck this, but also life is beautiful. It's cold. Zone 2 rides for me have been pretty awesome. They're not too difficult in keeping my heart rate where I want it to be. The only issue I'm having is I get a little bored. So hopefully soon I can start increasing that heart rate and intensity. I'm doing as many sets as it takes to get to 10 reps at this point. Second upper body calisthenic day, things were getting tiny bit smoother, but still incredibly frustrating, especially from a pull-up perspective. We're still grinding away, keeping the exertion levels at moderate.
The other thing that's happened to me over time is that my calluses that I've worked so hard to build up over the last 10 years are gone. I have the cutest, smoothest, callus-free hands. So that shit hurts too.
Finishing off this upper day with some pikes. They're my absolute favorite. They're technically difficult, so I have to be pretty careful towards the end of the rep that I'm not grinding, but other than that, felt great. Middle of the week bike session. This was nice and easy, exactly where I wanted it to try and get my aerobic capacity up. I love some plyos. They also help me a ton with running, so my warm-up of choice for the calisthenic day was some switch jumps, and then dropped straight into 10 sets of being groovy, then into the pistol squats. The pistols have definitely been the hardest for me in terms of keeping my heart rate down. They require a lot of moving parts, which just pumps my heart rate up, and it can put me right into the 150s pretty quickly. So with these, I really need to be careful. Exertionally, I take long breaks in between sets and sometimes between legs. Same deal with the single leg RDLs. They're not as difficult as the pistol squats, but they do give me some trouble. I control my tempo and my breathing, and that usually does a really good job of avoiding any big spikes in heart rate or blood pressure. Finished off the day with some Cossacks. Overall, this lower day was rough. I had a lot of stops. I had to catch my breath a few times and kind of temper how quickly I was going and the effort. It was a good learning experience overall, though. Week 2 ended with the best pace I've had, staying in zone 2, which was really encouraging. Powering forward to week 3. Now, aesthetically, I haven't had much changes, and I don't really expect much yet. First run of the week went really well. Kept the heart rate where I wanted to be, and the pace was actually pretty solid as well. And then I switched things up. So this time around, we're doing full body days. So twice a week. Started with dips, followed by some pull-ups. Everything's getting a little smoother each time, which was wonderful. Then I went to single arm rows, which was a pretty refreshing change. Same deal as usual. Whenever my heart rate shoots up a little too high, just got to give a little bit of rest. And honestly, it's been recovering really well. Pistols remain a bit of a mobility problem and just kind of difficult to do. Then we go back into my favorite pikes. As long as I breathe throughout these, I'm usually in great shape. Then I got to do some lateral raises, which I have not done in a long time, which was very fun. Kept in the same area and did my single leg RDLs to finish things off. This week I got the opportunity to go back to Run Club for the first time since surgery, and I got dusted by everyone. I kept in zone 2, so it's okay, but it was great to be back there. Second strength day of week 3, and things are getting a lot smoother. Everything technically feels easier. It's not nearly as painful as it was at the start. It feels really good to be back in the gym, and it's great being back. A lot of these movements are feeling smoother and just easier in general. So when I start picking up load, I'm getting a really good sense of exactly how hard I should push to make sure that I'm not holding my breath or spiking my blood pressure at all. I switched to full body days this week in week 3, and it was a dramatic difference. The biggest thing when having 2 full body days is that I can practice these movements twice a week, which is allowing me to get better at it, and then I can gauge my effort levels better. That's just gonna be huge to monitor over time. So big difference here. Finished off week 3 with another run. It was my 3rd of the week. I'm going to try and increase the volume and frequency of my runs. This one was another tough walk run, but worth it. Overall, weeks 2 and 3 felt good. They felt like good progress. The exercises are starting to get a little smoother. I'm getting more confident in the movements and the effort levels I'm using. The biggest challenge right now is figuring out what's too much and what's enough. Sometimes I don't really realize I'm pushing too much until later in the week and fatigue shows up. But I'm starting to build more trust in the process, and my body's responding to the training really well. The full body training felt a whole lot better than the upper and lower splits, and it's allowing me to get a little more frequency into my training, get better at those movements. So going forward, the goal is to just continue to build some volume, increase my consistency, get things moving. This rebuild is going to take some time, but that is part of the process. I'll see you next time.